My hand is the best.
Viffer's got Chow talking to himself as Chow's stack is getting smaller while Viffer's is getting larger. In fact, let's get you all caught up to date on some of the money matters here at the big game. After Viffer gets rescued on the river, he's up almost 100 grand while Chow is down close to 50. Meanwhile, the loose cannon, Troy Howard, is at a $36,000 loss right now.
We're about a third of the way through the 150 hands for this table, and Troy is almost our biggest loser. In poker, chips are power, so the further he slips, the more he has to rely solely on the cards.
Barry Greenstein having a solid run, looking at 4 high and gets rid of it. The Magician's out. King 10 for Chow.
I have no doubt my mind had to beat.
I know, you called.
I'll make a bad check on the turn, by the way.
Chow raised to 2 grand. 6 deuce for Rick Rahim. Calls on the button.
Why not?
Troy, 9-8 offsuit. Folds. Viffer, Jack 7 suited. Calls from the big blind. 3 players to this flop. 4, 5, 7, 2 clubs. Viffer checks top pair. Chow checks.
Somehow Rick Rahim has managed to flop an open-ended straight draw.
And bets 6,000.
6,000.
Viffer's top pair is still the best hand.
And he quickly calls. Chow folds. Down to the 2 good friends on the turn. Jack of diamonds. Viffer with 2 pair now. He checks. So does Rahim.
Rahim tends to bet when it's checked to him. Viffer was probably hoping for a bet there.
Queen on the river. Viffer's hand still best. Bets 10 grand.
Damn queen, huh?
Wrong read, right laydown.
Nice attempt at a value bet from Viffer, but we know Rick was beaten by even an 8 high.
I'm not messing with you if there's a king or a queen on the board anywhere.
I would recommend not messing with Viffer if there were ace through deuce on the board.
I will say this. I am a very lucky man.
Lucky to be playing on the same day as a millionaire action junkie who plays every pot and never hits his draws.
Action starts with Antonio.
I shouldn't have checked the turn. That was my mistake.
You might not have liked that if you bet that turn.
Aha, turns out he did want him to bet the turn.
Action folds around to Rahim. 6 deuce, folds. Troy Howard, the loose cannon, on the button. King 10, raised to 1,200. Viffer folds. Barry Greenstein, 6-5 offsuit.
Barry's reaching for chips. He'll be happy to play a pot with the loose cannon, even with unsuited connectors.
42, I think. 42.
A re-raise to 4,200. Troy calls.
Good luck, Troy. And Barry.
No, you got to root for Troy.
Barry's out of position, but he did make a habit of putting the pressure on the last loose cannon he played with.
9 ace 9 on the flop. Barry first to act and fires 5,000.
We know Barry missed, but we also know he continuation bets 100% of the time. Let's see what Troy knows. It's tough to withstand the heat when you get re-raised pre-flop and then bet into.
Troy's coming over the top to 10 grand.
It's a min raise. We'll see how Barry interprets it.
Barry folds, and Troy shows.
Woohoo! Troy Burger.
We just see a bluff?
We sure did.
But he had a king.
It might have been a bluff with the best hand,
There
though.
was going to be a king on the river.
I thought it was. Nice hand, Troy.
He could have been bluffing with the best hand, though.
Does he get a book for that or no?
Troy's book would be called Ace on the Flop.
It all depends on if he had the best hand or not, though.
I guess so, right?
I thought I had the best hand. I just, Barry scares me a little bit.
Good play.
Oh, boy. The old min raise bluff. Now the game's on.
Game on.
Troy puts the table on notice. Find out if he can keep the ball rolling when we come back. Welcome back to Las Vegas. David Keat, a.k.a. Viffer, has been killing this table, mostly through skill and partly by luck. A few hands ago, Viffer rivered Chow to win a nice pot and afterward, he allowed us inside his head to go behind the poker face.
Leading up to the hand, I'd been up quite a bit of money. I've been playing a lot of pots. People think I'm really aggressive and play a lot of hands, which I do. Chow is a relatively tight player. He's a very, very good player, but he doesn't play quite as many hands as other people do. Chow opened raise. There was a few colors. It wasn't much more for me to call. I had queen 6 off. There was a few players. I decided to call and take a flop. The flop came down 9-5 deuce, which is like a pretty harmless flop. I decided to lead out. Chow raised me, and I thought he would raise me with any overpair, so I decided to re-raise him. At that point, when I re-raised him, I'm representing 2 pair or better, and I really expected him to fold at that point. He didn't, and he called. My plan was to make a big bet on the turn, but the turn card came a king. The king's a really bad card for me to continue to bluff with, because he could very easily have 3 kings there. So if I bet again, it really doesn't make much sense. Like, I probably check a lot of hands there anyways. I check a lot of big hands. So I decided to check, and he checked behind. At that point, I put him on like 2 jacks, 2 queens, somewhere around there. My plan was to bet it pretty big on the river, but the river card made a queen, which made my hand playable. So, like, if he has 2 jacks or 2 tens, I'm going to beat him. If he has 2 aces, I'm going to lose the pot. But I have a lot of showdown value with my hand, so I decided to check it, and he checked behind.
I know I tried to bluff me. How about I tip?
And my queen was good. I got lucky. No river, no fish. You know, a lot of times you bluff hoping that they fold, but sometimes you bluff and you get there. And sometimes you're actually bluffing with the best hand also. And in this particular time, I bluffed with 3 outs against him, and I got there.
Rivering 3 outers is a good way to make $100K in this game, but it also helps to know what you're doing.
You'll play the rush with the straddle?
I still, and when I'm plus, I'll straddle every time.
All right.
Actually, you're
binding.
I give you
when it's your money, you'll straddle every time.
No, I'm just, I mean, you know.
I give you some good advice though. You're better off straddling when you're down.
Exactly. When you're plus, you need to sit on that stack.
No, you don't need to sit on it, but
No, I only straddle every time if everybody straddles. Right now, I'm not going to straddle. But if everybody straddles, I get a little chips in front of me. I'll straddle with you.
Come on, Troy, everybody's doing it.
Barry is raised with a pocket pair. Action folds to the straddler, who calls.
To say Raheem's a big dog would be an understatement. He's like Marmaduke.
Check in the dark.
Rick checked in the dark. 5-ace-7 on the flop.
Barry's got the best hand, but somehow Rick still manages to flop a draw while completely dominated.
Barry bet 3,500. Rick called.
Check in the dark.
Checked in the dark again.
Raheem's trying to get cute with all this checking in the dark, but I don't think it's going to work on a guy like Greenstein.
Board pairs on the turn. And Barry checks with the lights on. King on the river.
The 7 wasn't a great card for Barry since Raheem routinely calls with any pair.
Raheem reaching for chips and bets 10,500. And Barry calls.
You win.
Yes, a pot of more than 34 grand.
Barry decides 2 6s wasn't worth a value bet, but did have some showdown value.
It's a great flop for me, but it never improved.
Barry's seen more than a few river bluffs at this point from Raheem. He knows he's got a better than average